Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Join me every week. I release new episodes every Tuesday. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 89. My name is Stephanie. I am your host, the Medium in the Middle. We are back to our regular scheduled programming of releasing on Tuesdays. So I'm very excited for today's episode. If you have listened to all 88 episodes, you might know Tara. Tara is one of my friends, and she has just been someone who has kind of been there at all of the right times and places. So I've read for her family multiple times. Literally too many episodes to list, but it was her grandpa that's come through a few times, Thanksgiving, the episode Josh. And now here I am with another episode for you about Tara and what happened when I went and saw her family. So that's what this episode is all about. I recently went to visit family and there was a lot of interesting things that happened. So I do have a few episodes to share about it that'll trickle out over the summer. And I wanted to start off by sharing a boundary that came up a lot. So when I go home, I obviously do Reiki and all of the things for my family. And I do have some friends that I'll also always take care of. But for the most part on this visit, I really wanted to be on vacation because pretty much for all of 2021 so far, I have like fake days off, I call them, where I'll work till 4 p.m. and then call it a day off, or I'll just work all day and call it a day off. So I haven't really had any downtime to really unwind and just let my brain and body rest. So I was really trying to protect my time when I went home this time. So that meant saying no to a lot of things that came up. And I learned two very important messages because I knew like my friends would be like, hey, I have 3 friends that also want a reading or Reiki. Can you do it for them? Or my cousins were like, hey, I also have 3 friends that I have all set up for you. And I had to be like, thank you guys so much for thinking of me. But respectfully, Medium in the Middle is on vacation. And I was like, why is this coming up for me so much? Like, what do I have to learn here? Like, I'm so good with boundaries, I thought. Like, what do I have to learn here? And I was like, I'm being tested with abundance. Because yes, I could have taken a few people on vacation and made some money. Newsflash, when you work for yourself in a service-based industry, when you don't work, you don't make money. So me taking time off means 0 income during that time. And I was like, oh, I'm being tested whether or not I will take the money or the time off. And I'm also being tested whether or not I will prioritize my time off and say no. So it was something that took me about a week to come to realize. I was just like, why is everybody wanting an appointment when I'm home? I don't understand. Like, usually there's a few, but not as many as this time. So that was a really, really cool lesson. And I really encourage you to look at your life when lessons are popping up. Sometimes it takes us a few days or weeks to realize what the universe is telling us or what we're supposed to be learning out of a certain situation. But there is always a lesson. And the sooner that you are able to identify lessons around you and what you're experiencing and what you're going through, it honestly makes life so much easier. And you're like, oh, that was the point of that. Got it. And you can just, easily move on. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. I always like to share my journey. If you are an iTunes user, please subscribe to the podcast. I release new episodes every Tuesday. And if you want to follow along with me on Instagram, at Medium in the Middle, I'm very active on stories. You can also follow on Facebook. And I am now on YouTube. I'm uploading my episodes onto YouTube with the goal of eventually making content. So that is very exciting for the future. The only announcement I have for you today is that merch is coming. One day, I don't know exactly when, but merch, yes, is coming. It is on my to-do list, and it will be a priority to get that out. I know you guys are excited for the merch. So before I get into the episode, I'm going to pull a card. Today I wanted to pull from the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light Oracle deck. This is a very popular deck. I really like it. And just as a reminder, whenever I'm pulling cards for you in the episodes, I always ask, what does the audience need to know right now? What is a little piece of advice that we need? What's a reminder that we need to hear? And today I pulled the card, Share Your Voice. Come out of the cave, persecution, expression. You are being called to share your voice, perhaps by speaking up in a relationship or through writing, speaking, singing, or some other form of creative expression. We each hold a truth deep within us that longs to be expressed. Sculpted for lifetimes, the voice of your soul is like no other. It carries with it wisdom that can only be gained through soul history and growth. By remembering, tapping into, and expressing this unique tone, we not only heal ourselves, we also heal the planet at large. When you share your voice, you unlock something in the universe and call a missing piece of you home. Your individual voice is the most powerful sound current on the planet. If you have kept your soul's voice silent or held back, chanting or singing could be truly life-changing for you. As we shed the layers of our personality and start letting our unique soul speak through us, we discover we actually have a very clear message that longs to be shared. The more we speak it, the clearer it gets. There has never been a better time in history than right now to rise up. Speak your truth and share your soul's voice. If you feel fearful, know that you are not alone and that the world needs your unique tone in order to harmonize. As we each rise up and share our song, we make it easier for the next person to do the same. Work your light action. Express yourself, share your voice, speak to those who can hear you. Ooh, interesting. I like this card. Last year, my mentor, when I went and saw her, she actually had me hum. And in my healing session, she had me hum like, to activate the throat chakra. And it's actually so calming. I have my clients do it sometimes if I need them to release in their throat chakra. And it's also just something that you can do literally at home, just as the little card said. So very cool. I like that. All right, so let's jump into this week's story. I am very excited to be sharing a mediumship story again. And to be honest, when this experience happened, I was like, ooh, I still got it. Because I haven't channeled like this in a long time. As you guys know, my boundaries for sessions have gotten pretty strong, where I do not let spirit come through. And due to lockdown, I mean, we're just starting to come out of lockdown here in Canada. I haven't seen very many people. I haven't been in very many experiences where, a random ward-off could happen. My in-person business was closed for also a while due to lockdown, so there was no kind of experiences happening there. So this was like a really good reminder for me, and it happened on like the second day that I was home to be like, oh, it still works, guys. Spirit's still there, and, they've just been respecting my boundaries. But when I knew I had to do this for Tara, and I knew this experience was going to happen kind of in my mind, so it was just one of those things where we fully opened the floodgates, and it was like, yep, let's go. So to set the scene, Tara is one of my very good friends from back home, and whenever I go visit my family, I always make sure I spend a few days with her and her family because we have become quite close over the years. And I was there visiting her first, and then the next day we were going to be visiting with her mom. So in the morning, she's like, do you want to go for a walk? And I was like, yes, of course. So we went for a walk, and she said, oh, there's actually a road up here called Babe's Way, and she used to always call her grandma Babe, and she actually passed away this past year. And she said, whenever I walk by the road, it's like a cul-de-sac, so there's two entrances. She said, I kind of talk to her in between the entrances, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like, obviously know that she hears you. But when we went on our walk in between the two roads, she's like, here's Babe's Way. Okay, like, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to talk to Graham. And I was like, okay. And we were just like silent until she got to the next side of the road. And then she's like, okay, bye. And of course, in that moment of silence, Babe just started talking and telling me some information. She said to me the number 78, which I wasn't quite sure of the significance. She also told me two other pieces of information, and I kind of said to Tara, like, oh, well, she's here, you know who you're walking with? And she laughed, and I said, well, do you want me to tell you now, or should we wait for when we're with your mom? Because it's her mom's mom as well. And she was like, no, we have to wait for mom. If anything happened when she wasn't here, like, she would be devastated. I was like, okay, we're seeing her tomorrow, like, we'll wait. So the next day, we meet up with her mom, and we are going out to dinner, and we're at dinner, and we're kind of telling her the story of what happened, and she was like, oh, mom came through? And I was like, of course, like, your dad has come through more than any other soul that I've ever channeled in my whole life, like, I think, like, 7-8 times now, to the point where I feel like I know this man. And I was like, of course, like, she came through. Do you want me to tell you what she said? And we were out to dinner, and they were like, no, not at dinner. Like, we should wait. And I was like, yeah, we should wait, because I feel like this is going to be a whole thing. And right now we're like eating and in public. Let's wait. So we waited until we got back home. And then back home, we're all sitting around, and I was like, okay, it's time. And they're like, it's time. And we're getting smart, So this time she grabbed a notebook and started to write down everything I was saying. And I thought, in hindsight, we should have just recorded it. But yes, she got a notebook this time, because usually they forget what I say, I forget what I say, and we kind of have this afterwards trying to figure out what I said, what was the points, all of these things. So this time we grabbed a notebook, which was a very smart idea. And we sat down, the three of us, and called in Graham. And it was really, really nice, because I know her husband's soul. So if you guys remember, he was the one that passed when he was 36 or 37, very young, and she had 3 children, and the grandma just passed, and she passed at 90. She was in her late 90s, I believe. Like, she lived a very long life. So she came through first, and then she did pull through her husband after, and she pulled through her mom, and she started to deliver all these beautiful messages. She confirmed a lot for the family, because they weren't permitted to see her before she passed, which is really sad. And she also was like very much talking about like puppy love. I was like, she just keeps talking about like puppy love, and they're making me feel like they're back together from when they, their relationship stopped, but because they were at such a young age, it's like they're right back there again. And like the love that they're making me feel is just so nice and warm. And I just keep thinking of like puppy love, puppy love. And then she also said that she was with her mom, and she was like very happy to be with her mom. And Tara and her mom are very close, and they were also very close to Graham. And then I was like, she's making me feel like that Graham and her mom had a very close relationship. Like, yes, all the grandparents are there, or I guess her parents and her husband's parents, they were all there. But I was like, but the mom connection is being very, very like prominent, being like, she's so excited to see her. And they were like, yes, she also had a very, very close relationship, like the same way we all did. And then it was interesting because Grandpa kind of let her talk. And at the end, he said a few things. And it was interesting because we were just like writing pages and pages and pages of notes, and everybody's in tears, and it was so beautiful. But the coolest thing happened in this reading. So, like I said, I've channeled the grandpa like 7 or 8 times now. So I know what he looks like. I know what his soul is like. It's literally like I see someone that I recognize when he comes through. And 3 times he came through as like wearing this blue polo shirt. And I was like, they keep making me talk about this blue polo shirt. Like, did he always wear a blue polo shirt? Is there a picture of him wearing a blue polo shirt? Is there, like, I don't understand. And they were like, no, like, we can't think of anything with a blue polo shirt. And I was like, okay, like, really weird. They keep talking about this blue polo shirt, but like, we'll leave it. Anyway, so it came up a few more times. There was some really cool references to like a big family photo that they have in the cottage. There was a reference to obviously them being together again. There was also a reference to past lives, that they've been in a relationship before, Grandma and Grandpa, but this lifetime they knew they had to be apart, but they're reunited again. It was super interesting. Grandpa brought in his dad and he started talking about like a broken relationship. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, there's something with his dad. And I guess his dad also died young, so they didn't really have a relationship. So I felt it as like a broken relationship, but it was actually because he died young, so he actually wasn't there. They didn't really have a relationship. And I was like, oh, super interesting how he like conveyed that. And it was honestly very, very cool. We went through this whole experience. 7 pages of notes later, I was kind of like, okay, I'm done. I started burping, the whole thing. And because I've channeled for Tara's family so many times, they told their family that I was coming and that we were going to be seeing each other. So she said, my brother is like kind of on standby, waiting to see pretty much if this happens. And I was like, well, we got to call him. By this time, it was like getting late. It was like 10:30 at night. I was like, you think he's awake? And she's like, yeah, I literally think he's like waiting for us to call him. So I said, okay, like we have to call him and give him the recap now because, well, it's fresh in our minds. We have these 7 pages of notes. And if he knows we're together, he's probably like, when's it happening? And it's his mom. So of course he would want to know because his dad's come through so many times. And like I said, in past episodes, we've had Thanksgiving dinners together. Like I've gotten to know the whole family. So by this time it's a family affair. So we get on the phone to call her brother and we kind of were like, hey, like Steph's here. And he's like, yeah, like, did anything happen? And we're like, yeah, like mom came through, dad came through, like grandma and grandpa came, like their parents came through. He was like, really? And we were like, yes, it was amazing. We told him all the 7 pages of notes. We said we got smart this time. We took notes and we were trying to confirm a few things. And we said, like, do you know anything about the blue polo shirt? Like, that's what we really couldn't place. And he was like, no, like, I can't think of anything. Like, I don't remember dad in a blue polo shirt. Like, I don't know. And I was like, okay. And I was like, another thing, like, grandma's really talking about 78. And we think like she was trying to say, like, remember me from before 78. Because after that is when her dementia started to get really bad and just things, she wasn't really herself anymore. So, like, the really, really big message that she wanted to deliver is remember me before 78. She's like, don't remember me after that because that wasn't who I truly was. And I thought that was a really beautiful message because, of course, you always remember your earliest memory of them. But she said, no, remember me before 78. So we're on the phone with the brother for about 30 minutes. He's so happy we called him. It was just like a really cool and like warm and loving experience. And I was just thinking to myself, like, this is what mediumship is about. This is why I know that this is real and I believe in it so much. This is why I know that this is important. And even though I'm not offering mediumship readings right now, I know one day I will. And I know that this is why, like, these experiences are exactly why I know it's so important. Like, literally the weight lifted off of Tara's mom's shoulders and just how good it made Tara feel. At one point, like Graham said to Tara, like, you're my babe. And she just like burst into tears because she always called her babe, but she could never really respond. Like, it was just, everything was so beautiful and amazing. And I was like, this is magic. Like, this is really, truly magic. So after the phone call, we're all settling, or our minds are blown, our eyes are wide. We're like, whoa, what just happened? Was that real? Holy cow. We pour a glass of wine and we're sitting around, and her mom starts to flip through her iPad and she's like, do you want to see some pictures? And I was like, yeah, of course I want to see some pictures, because they had recently got some family photos up and we're looking through the family photos. She was like, this is my mom and this is my dad, and this is the family. And we're flipping through and all the photos are in black and white. And then we get to one group family photo, and it's the only photo in color. And what is her dad sitting at the table and wearing? A blue polo shirt. And I like looked at them and I laughed and I was like, wow. I was like, look at Spirit being sneaky. I was like, we didn't even look at this photo yet. It's not something that stuck out in our minds, but it was almost like something for the future for us, like to remind everyone that everything's connected, because it was so interesting. It was the only photo in color, and he was wearing a blue polo shirt, and we like laughed. I was like, what are the odds that he's wearing a blue polo shirt? And like, it was like a bright blue polo shirt. Like, honestly, like if you looked at the picture, all you would see is this polo shirt. And it was just so cool. And I was thinking again to myself, like, Spirit was sneaky. Like, look at this. So it was really, really cool of a way of like a message for the future almost to remind us that Spirit's always around. They see what we're doing. They know what we're doing. Like, they knew about that picture. They probably knew she was going to show me that picture. Just like the intelligence of the collective is amazing. I always say like the higher consciousness has such this like greater understanding and knowledge that it's so, so beautiful. That's almost like my favorite part of Spirit is that like their consciousness, their awareness. It's so much higher than ours, and it like provides so many messages. So the blue polo shirt was just the cherry on top, and it was perfect and amazing. And I always love getting together with Tara. I always joke, and I was like, you guys are the only ones that get personal meeting in the middles sessions at your house at 10 o'clock at night. But it's just like the connection I have with her and her family now. And it's just like beautiful. And it was a really good reminder for me that Spirit's still around. They can still come through in full force. I still got it. And just, it was so good. And just like so much love and happiness and joy. It was like overwhelming, but amazing. And I also experienced in this reading like a little bit of that amnesia again, where I didn't really remember what I said. So I was really happy that they wrote notes and we talked about it afterwards. And I was like, oh, that hasn't happened in a while. Like I usually remember what I say now because I've gotten really good at listening to myself. So when Spirit comes through, because it's not my own thoughts and memories, I don't usually remember what I said. It's kind of like they put the thoughts and memories in my head for me to say them, but then they're not my memories, so I don't actually remember them. So I have to listen to myself and hear myself say the words to remember what I said. That's how I remember what I say in readings. But anyways, this particular reading, I was really focused on Spirit and multiple people were coming in. So I really wasn't like focusing on listening to myself. I was just focusing on the message, and kind of all my old habits came back. So I was looking like down into the left for Dad and down into the right for Mom, and the burping was there, but the burping hasn't really gone anywhere. I always burp at the end. And I didn't remember what I said. So we were like really happy we took notes because I was like, oh, I got amnesia again. Like it's kind of a little joke. So what a fun story. And it was really exciting and a great way to start the trip. And I was like, woohoo, like, let's go. Who else can we seance? And actually the next day I was telling my family this, and we tried to get my grandma, and it was really, really hard for me to get my grandma. I wasn't able to really pull anything through. She pulled through like the only piece of information that we could actually place was she was talking about purple flowers, and my aunt had recently like updated the flowers on her gravestone, and they were purple flowers. And when I went and visited her grave, I saw the purple flowers, but everything else was kind of like gibberish and didn't make sense. And it was like, again, another reminder of, oh my gosh, it's so hard to channel spirit when it's my spirits, because a lot of the things they would tell me, I already know. It's very hard for, my grandma to tell me something to validate it when I know about her. I know about her personality. I know about what she used to bake. I know about where she used to live. I know about her kids. So that was a little humbling experience, but we got a little bit from Graham, and we'll take what we can get. So that is today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed the experience. I had a lot of fun, and it was really, really nice to connect that deeply with Spirit again. The reading was about 45 minutes from start to finish, and then plus an hour of recap, but it was really, really beautiful and just filled me with so much love and joy. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I hope you learned something and took something away from it. If you did, please subscribe to this podcast, and I would love and appreciate a rating and a review. If you are an iTunes user, just scroll down. You can leave 5 stars and just a few sentences. It really helps me out in the podcast world, so thank you so, so much. If you would like to book an appointment with me, Distance Reiki, Akashic Records, Psych K, all of that is available on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. I will leave all the links below. I do have Reiki trainings that will be coming in September. Currently, I'm holding a wait list. The wait lists are getting very full. So I'm going to have those dates very soon for the waitlist, but more Reiki trainings are coming. I am so, so, so happy that you guys are loving Reiki. I love to teach it. I love to share the good news. I love to share self-healing with you guys so you learn that everything you need is within. So that will be coming as well, along with the merch store eventually. So thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you all next Tuesday in your ears. Okay, goodbye.